The family photo will be taken in the grand foyer in 5 minutes. My stepfather Marcus boomed across the country club's annual gala. Windsor family members only, of course. Those who've actually contributed to our success. I sat quietly at my corner table, sipping champagne and watching the scene unfold. The annual Windsor family gathering was always a parade of ego and ostentation, but this year held a special irony. In less than 12 hours, their understanding of success would be completely redefined. "Emma, darling," my mother fluttered nearby, her designer gown rustling anxiously. "Perhaps you should powder your nose during the photos. It's just, well, Marcus thinks it's best to maintain a certain image." An image of success? I raised an eyebrow, adjusting my understated Chanel suit, the one that cost more than my stepsister Jessica's entire wardrobe, though they'd never know it. "Well, yes," Mother hesitated. "It's just that everyone else has achieved so much. Jessica's junior partnership at Windsor Financial, Thomas's new position as VP. My phone buzzed discreetly. A message from my CO. Final paperwork signed. Windsor Tower acquisition complete. Contractors ready for overnight signage change. Of course, Mother. I smiled, thinking about how quickly their definition of achievement was about to change. I wouldn't want my small business consulting to tarnish the family photo. Small business consulting. That's what they thought I did, working from my modest office in the financial district. They had no idea that my modest office occupied the top 3 floors of the city's most prestigious building, or that Windsor International, my privately held company, had just acquired their precious Windsor Financial Group through a series of silent purchases. "Gather round, everyone," Marcus called out. "Jessica, Thomas, front and center. Show everyone what real Windsor success looks like." I watched my stepbrother Thomas preen in his designer suit, bragging about his latest major deal at Windsor Financial. What he didn't know was that the deal had only succeeded because my company had deliberately stayed out of the bidding war. Tomorrow he'd learn who really controlled his professional destiny. "Emma," Jessica smirked as she passed my table, "those H&M pieces you're wearing might not photograph well with our Valentino and Armani. Better sit this one out." If she only knew that my H&M suit was actually bespoke Chanel, or that I owned controlling shares in half the luxury brands she worshipped. But that revelation would come soon enough. My phone lit up again. Construction crews in position. New signage arrives at midnight. Press embargo lifts at 6 a.m. Perfect timing, I murmured, watching Marcus orchestrate the family photo like a general commanding troops. He'd married my mother 5 years ago, quickly taking control of both our family life and her inheritance from my late father. The inheritance he thought I'd squandered on frivolous business ventures. "Emma's always been more practical," I overheard him telling another business associate. "Not everyone is cut out for real success. Thankfully, Jessica and Thomas understand the Windsor way of doing things." The Windsor way. I suppressed a smile, thinking about how their understanding of that phrase would change dramatically by morning. While they'd been posing for photos and collecting meaningless titles, I'd been building an empire that would soon swallow their entire world. "Ms. Windsor," my assistant's voice came through my earpiece. "The contractors need final approval on the new logo placement. And the board members are asking about tomorrow's transition announcement." I stood quietly, gathering my belongings as the family assembled for their photo. Marcus positioned himself in the center, flanked by Jessica and Thomas, with my mother perched elegantly at his side. The perfect picture of success, or at least their version of it. "Emma," Mother called out weakly, "are you sure you won't join us?" Marcus's laugh was sharp. "Now, dear, we discussed this. Only family members who contribute to the Windsor legacy. Emma can join when she achieves something worthy of the name." I thought about the documents sitting in my office, the ones that would reveal exactly what I'd achieved while they were busy excluding me from photos. About the empire I'd built while they mocked my small business consulting. "It's fine, Mother," I said softly, watching the photographer adjust his camera. "I have some work to attend to anyway." "Work?" Jessica laughed. "At this hour? Surely your little consulting clients can wait." If she only knew that my little clients included some of the largest corporations in the world, or that the modest office she mocked was actually the headquarters of a global financial empire. As I walked toward the exit, my phone buzzed one final time. "Everything in place." By morning, Windsor International Tower will be visible across the city skyline. I paused at the door, looking back at my family's perfect photo formation. Marcus, commanding and condescending. Jessica and Thomas, preening in their expensive clothes. Mother, trying to balance between her husband's demands and her daughter's exclusion. Tomorrow their phones would explode with calls as the business world learned who really controlled the Windsor name. Their understanding of success would be completely rewritten. And the daughter they'd excluded from the family photo would become the most photographed Windsor of all. Sometimes the best revenge isn't being in the picture. It's owning the entire gallery. And I own much more than that. The next morning dawned crisp and clear. Perfect weather for unveiling a new skyscraper sign. I sat in my private office on the 50th floor, watching the sun rise over the city skyline that would soon be dominated by my name. Ms. Windsor, my executive assistant Sarah entered with my morning briefing. The press embargo lifts in 30 minutes. All major financial networks are positioned outside the tower. And, she smiled slightly, your family has just arrived at Windsor Financial Group for their morning meeting. I turned to my wall of monitors, each showing different angles of the building that had, until midnight, been known as Preston Tower, the architectural crown jewel of the financial district and home to Windsor Financial Group's offices. Have they noticed the construction tarps yet? I asked, watching the street-level cameras. Not yet. They all used the executive garage entrance. But the lobby screens are ready to switch over at exactly 6 a.m. My phone buzzed with a message from Jessica. Dad's furious about some construction nonsense blocking the building entrance. Don't suppose your consulting covers dealing with incompetent contractors? Faced with tears of joy. Before I could respond, Thomas sent a group text. Major announcement at this morning's executive meeting. Finally closing the Mitchell acquisition. Time to show everyone what real Windsors can do. The Mitchell acquisition. I smiled, thinking about how that deal would never close. Because Mitchell Global was already part of Windsor International, acquired through one of my shell companies last month. 5 minutes to embargo lift, Sarah announced. The signage is fully installed and lit. Should I alert security to expect some family visitors? Let them come, I replied, standing to adjust my Tom Ford suit, another piece my family would assume was off the rack. I think it's time for a proper family reunion. At exactly 6 a.m. the construction tarps fell away, revealing the gleaming new letters that stretched across the building's facade. Windsor International Tower. Within seconds my phone exploded with notifications. The press release had gone live, announcing Windsor International's acquisition of both the building and Windsor Financial Group. Business channels switched to live coverage as reporters scrambled to explain how an unknown entity had just become one of the largest financial companies in the world. Emma. My mother's voice was shrill through the phone. What's happening? There's some mistake with the building signs and Marcus is. No mistake, Mother, I cut her off calmly. Though I suppose I should have warned you. It might have made for a better family photo. I watched through the security feeds as Marcus stormed through the lobby, his face turning purple as the screens switched to display Windsor International's logo and my name, Emma Windsor, CEO and Chairwoman. This is impossible, he was shouting at the security guards. I demand to speak to whoever's responsible for this outrage. 50th floor, sir. The guard replied smoothly, following my earlier instructions. Ms. Windsor is expecting you. The next 15 minutes were chaos as my family tried to comprehend what was happening. Jessica's Instagram live stream about her executive morning routine was flooded with comments about the building's new name. Thomas's attempted meeting about the Mitchell acquisition was interrupted by the news that his entire department now reported to Windsor International. Ms. Windsor, Sarah's voice came through the intercom. Your family is approaching in the executive elevator. Should I have security? No, I smiled, taking my seat behind the CEO's desk, my desk. Let them come. It's time they learned what real Windsor success looks like. The doors burst open as Marcus stormed in, followed by my mother, Jessica, and Thomas. They froze at the sight of my office, a space 3 times the size of Marcus's, with views that made their country club look like a backyard garden. What is the meaning of this? Marcus demanded, his authority crumbling as he took in the scale of my operation. Meaning? I stood slowly. I thought you wanted the Windsor name associated with real success. That's what the family photo was about, wasn't it? But, your consulting business. Jessica stammered, her designer handbag clutched like a shield. Was a cover, I finished for her. While you were playing at being executives, I was building something real. Windsor International doesn't just own this building. We own controlling interests in over 200 companies worldwide, including Windsor Financial Group. That's impossible, Thomas interrupted. I would know if our company had been. Would you? I pressed a button and the wall screens came to life, showing Windsor International's complete portfolio. Like you knew about the Mitchell acquisition? The one that will never close because Mitchell Global is already part of my company. Mother sank into one of my office chairs, her perfectly maintained composure cracking. Emma, why didn't you tell us? Tell you. I laughed softly. Like you told me I wasn't successful enough for the family photo? Or like Marcus told everyone I'd wasted my inheritance on frivolous business ventures. I walked to the window, gesturing at the city below. While you were all posing for pictures and collecting empty titles, I was building an empire. Every deal you celebrated, every client you bragged about, they were all part of my larger strategy. Strategy. Marcus's voice was weak. What strategy? To show you what real success looks like, I turned back to face them. Windsor Financial Group is being merged into Windsor International, effective immediately. Your executive positions are being restructured. Restructured. Jessica's voice rose in panic. You can't just. Actually, I can, I cut her off. As majority shareholder and CEO, I can do exactly that. But don't worry. I'm sure there are positions available somewhere in the organization. Merit-based positions, of course. No special treatment for family members anymore. The security feeds showed the lobby filling with press as the story spread. My family's phones wouldn't stop buzzing with calls and messages as the business world tried to understand how they'd missed this massive shift in power. Now, I sat back down at my desk. Shall we take another family photo? I think the view from up here is much better than the country clubs. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the sound of helicopters outside as news crews captured footage of the new Windsor International Tower. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just getting into the family photo. It's having your name visible from every angle of the city. And this was just the beginning of my reshaping of the Windsor legacy. The morning sun streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my office, casting long shadows across my stunned family members. The city buzzed below as news helicopters circled the building, capturing images of the massive Windsor International Tower lettering that now dominated the skyline. Ms. Windsor, Sarah's voice came through the intercom. CNBC is requesting a live interview. And the board of directors has assembled in the main conference room. The board. Marcus sputtered, his face alternating between red and pale. I am the board. Windsor Financial Group. No longer exists as an independent entity, I finished for him, pulling up the acquisition documents on my screens. Windsor International acquired controlling interests through various shell companies over the past 3 years. Every time you celebrated a major deal, you were actually negotiating with one of my subsidiaries. Jessica had collapsed into a chair, frantically scrolling through her phone. This is impossible. The press is saying Windsor International is worth $50 billion. 53 as of this morning's market opening, I corrected her. Though that number will likely increase once the merger is fully public. But your consulting business. Thomas was still struggling to comprehend the situation. The small office downtown. I smiled, pressing another button that revealed a holographic display of Windsor International's global holdings. That small office was actually our first acquisition hub. While you were bragging about your VP title, Thomas, I was quietly building the largest private financial conglomerate in the world. Mother finally found her voice. Emma, darling, why all the secrecy? Why let us believe that I was a failure? I stood walking to the window. Because you all needed to learn something about success. Real success isn't about fancy titles or family photos. It's about vision, strategy, and the patience to build something meaningful. My phone buzzed with another urgent message. The stock market was reacting to the news, with Windsor International's public subsidiaries seeing unprecedented trading volumes. Ms. Windsor, Sarah entered with a stack of documents. The transition team is ready to begin the restructuring. And the new board members have arrived. New board members? Marcus stepped forward, his businessman instincts kicking in. Surely as family. Family. I turned to face them. Like when you excluded me from the photo. Or when you mocked my small business ventures. No, Marcus. The new board consists of qualified executives chosen for their expertise, not their last name. The doors opened as my executive team entered, global leaders I'd recruited from top firms, innovators who had helped me build Windsor International while my family was busy taking photos. Your offices need to be cleared by noon, I continued. Security will escort you to pack your personal items. Company assets, of course, remain with Windsor International. Assets? Jessica's voice cracked. What about my expense account? My car allowance? All corporate perks are being reviewed, I replied calmly. Though you're welcome to apply for positions within the new organization. Entry-level positions, naturally. We believe in earning success, not inheriting it. Thomas slumped against the wall. The Mitchell deal, my promotion, was never going to happen, I finished for him. Mitchell Global has been part of Windsor International for months. Just like the Anderson account you bragged about at Christmas, and the Pacific merger you claimed credit for last quarter. Mother stepped forward, tears in her perfectly made-up eyes. Emma, please. We're family. Yes, we are, I agreed. Which is why I'm offering you all a chance to earn real positions, rather than simply terminating everyone immediately. Consider it a courtesy that wasn't extended to me at last night's photo session. I turned to my executive team. Please escort my family to HR. They can begin the standard application process if they're interested in remaining with the company. As security began leading them out, Marcus made one last attempt. The Windsor name, the family legacy, will be stronger than ever, I cut him off. But it will stand for real achievement now, not just inherited privilege.